Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud
and David Lauer.
Rivals 3, episode 10. Digging your own grave, we assume. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, this sounds like a digging your own grave.
I mean, the girls are underground and the guys have to dig them up, but it might be a reference more to fucking Dario.
Yeah.
Like, holy hell. Like, we both like Dario, right?
Yeah.
Like, we were just like, oh, he's cool and he's funny enough and, like, whatever. But once he gets, I mean, spoiler alert, he fucking wins this mission. Once he gets that power, everything just goes wrong. And it's not just his fault either. It's Nicole.
Yep.
Nicole
She helps. She pushes him in a direction and he doesn't do anything to stop it.
That's true.
He doesn't do any kind of, like, hey, let's think about this and see if I'm making the right choice. Nope. He's full steam ahead with his ideas and he buries himself. He digs his grave and then he pours the dirt on himself.
Yeah, it's definitely a casket match. If he was the Undertaker. And the other thing that must be noted is that, again, these guy and girl partners, like, they're really kind of trusting each other. They really form each other's decisions and stuff. Inform each other's decisions. Because, like, Dario, he could have been an asshole and said, I'm not going to listen to you. No, Nicole says what she has to say, the whole thing about, like, oh, whatever. And then Dario really takes that information and runs with it, Yeah, it's very interesting.
But Dario was still making his own decisions, and Nicole never really, like, stood up and be like, hey, maybe I should choose a team as well. Because we've seen with other teams where, like, Corey and Ashley, they took turns. Ashley, she picked Simone and Thomas to go in, even though Corey didn't want to do that. They took turns at least. There was an equal partnership. With Dario just picks both teams.
Well, no, I would kind of disagree. In fact, I mean, the whole reason why he puts in Corey and Ashley, his own friend, is because of the information that Nicole tells him. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And she's not against it at all. She doesn't trust Corey, and that's what a big reason why they go in. And Nicole only argues with Dario when they put in Devin and Cheyenne, which I felt was really weird. Because, like, in the middle of nominations, that's when she starts arguing with Dario, and Dario's like, "Why are we doing this right now?" You know what I mean? It's so weird. They're an unstable team. But yet they listen to each other. I don't know. It's very confusing. I don't know. And like, who'd have thunk that they would know each other that good? Also, to warrant to win in this mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The more I think about it, this episode is very peculiar. I mean, even though it's kind of shitty, like, we'll have a lot to complain about, it is very bizarre that Dario and Nicole win on smarts of all things. You know what I mean?
But it almost makes sense that it's actually really a perfect fit that they would win, because they're both so simple-minded and dumb that their answers are going to be very predictable. Where it's like, oh, who's your favorite team? What team do you hate the most? Like, tell me this about you? Like, they're very simple people. What you see is what you get. So the answers to the questions are pretty cookie-cutter.
Yeah, what you see is what you get. Not necessarily the case with Nicole's face. But
oh my god, yes. Exactly.
It was low hanging fruit, I'm sorry. I actually don't want to be that mean, but it was an easy joke, so I had to take it.
I thought she had a stand in this episode, because half the scenes she didn't look quite like herself.
Yeah, totally true. I mean, you're more of a fan of the made up Nicole. I'm more of a fan of the Al Natural? All natural?
I don't know.
More of the
I feel like I like the makeup version just because I'm more used to it, and the other one is just frightening to me. Like, if I did see the natural version of
frightening, that's so mean.
Well, it's maybe not frightening, but startling, at least. Like,
startling is worse.
It does make me kind of like, oh, okay, that's her face. Okay. Because it's just so different, and it's such a contrast, and it's not like she's ugly without her makeup or pretty with her makeup, because I don't really find her that pretty with her makeup or ugly without it. It's just such a huge, vast difference that it's kind of makes you like, oh, yeah, that's the same person.
Yeah, I mean, we're not here to sit around and like tear into people's looks at all, but like,
But let's do that for at least 2 minutes because I need to get this off my chest.
Nicole's made up face, it's very uncanny valley, which means like, you know, a human can look at like a person, like a wax figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll see a wax figure and you're like, that looks like a human being, but like you kind of recoil in like unease
Something's
and horror.
off about it.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't know exactly what, but you know something's not right.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. So anyways, should we start from the beginning?
Yeah.
Let's just do that. We start off at the bar, and Christina is talking to Nate because she misses Kellyanne, and so do I. I miss Kellyanne.
I miss yoga time with Kellyanne.
Oh God. So does Johnny Bananas.
Yeah.
Looking up the downward dog. Looking down.
Checking out the V.
Yeah. And so anyways, but this should be noted right at this moment because it's going to be brought up later in the episode. Nate is saying like, hey man, like it's okay. He's like reassuring her and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's like, yeah, it sucks that you don't. Well, I thought it was weird because he's like trying to be compassionate towards Christina. You're like, yeah, it sucks that you lost your friend, you know. But he never once says like, I will be your friend now. Like it's okay. Like you have me. He never once said that. And I was like, that was a perfect opportunity to say that, even if it is a lie. Come on, like you need to be able to. When comforting a girl, you do need to have the ability to lie a little bit. Just be like, don't worry, everything's okay. I'm here now. But he never said that. He's just like, don't worry.
yeah, and she's like, you know, he has Nicole, so he doesn't really pay attention to me or whatever. Yep. But at that very moment, he is reassuring her, or like, you know, in the most, according to you, like the laziest way possible.
Yeah, I just
right?
like he seems somewhat just like, yeah, settle down. Like I don't care.
And you know what though? I was gonna say, well, it's appropriate because they are rivals. But remember, they actually were romantically involved before this. They are the only couple on this thing that were romantically linked, and now they're together. We mentioned this before, where like they shouldn't be here. They're exes more than anything.
Yeah. So why were they rivals? What happened?
Christina and Nate were paired up as a couple on Are You the One, and I guess they were having something going on, but eventually she just kind of left him for someone.
Because that's basically the show, is they go on dates and then they decide, I don't like you. I'm gonna. So the fact that they didn't get together long term.
Yeah.
Apparently they're rivals now. Okay. So it wasn't like something previous on a challenge.
So I kind of feel like Nate feels like he's on X's, you know, for him personally, because he has to deal with an ex, you know? Yeah. And it's not the same. It's a rivalry, but it's so much more intimate, yet you can be so much more detached.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
At the same time, you're very dismissive, where you're like, I just don't care. Like,
yeah. It's not the same connection to a team, which will eventually spill into the actual mission. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's totally bizarre. But let's move on. Meanwhile, at the bar, Nani and Nicole are talking to Corey, or at least Nani's talking to Corey.
Nani's talking to.
Or Nani's there. Or no, wait. Nicole's there, but Nani's talking to Corey.
Nicole's just sitting there drinking, being dumb, and listening and absorbing everything into her pea brain.
Mm-hmm. Okay. First her looks, now her intelligence.
Well, we'll get into that more as she starts talking about what she hears.
So, but Nani and Corey, they're talking about like how they made a deal, which they did. Wes and Nani, they struck up a deal with Corey and Ashley, or Corey and is it Ashley?
Yeah.
Yeah. When they won originally, and Nicole says, I noticed that Corey never really gives a straight answer. He kind of skirts around and kind of gives this
very non-committal.
And hey, I'm not going to disagree. We like Corey, and I think partly is because he does play the game.
Exactly.
He's playing the game.
Yep. You never know quite where his allegiance lies, but that's why he's good. There's tons of great players in the past have done that. Like, what's her name? Not Jenna. Starts with
On
J.
what season?
It was Fresh Meat 2. Where there was Ryan, and then there's
Jen.
Jen and Ryan.
Yeah, and Ryan, yeah.
Yeah,
Ryan's like, I'm being a double agent right now.
Yeah, Ryan was super in it. Jen was just like, she just kind of gives people what they want to hear. But she's always got 1 foot on the other side, or 1 foot in the middle, just so she can like, hey, if it looks like shit's going downhill. I'm gonna jump ship,
Oh.
and we're still good on the other side. That's the way Corey is. He's playing it smart, and that's why I like it.
But Nicole, in her pea brain, as you say, picks up on this. I kind of have some respect with that, for that, actually. Okay, so back at the house during the day or whatever, Bananas and Vince are in the pool with Corey, and they're like, "Hey, man, remember we're top 3. We're gonna be in the final 3. And Corey's like, "Yeah, totally, dude. So now TJ shows up. And he looks real serious and whatever. Who gives a shit?
Oh my gosh! Apparently, someone drank too many shots at the bar last night, and you're going home.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I'm like, seriously, TJ, you're just a party pooper this year. He's just like coming in, like, all right, Mr. No Fun.
That would be the ultimate challenge twist, where like everything he'd be like, this season, everything you thought that you can do, you can't, and that'll get you eliminated. You can't get drunk. You can't hook up. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, it's like the rules of Scream. Don't get drunk. You can never have sex. And never ever say, I'll be right back from elimination. Because you won't be back.
Or you jumped in the pool with your shoes on. You're off the show. Sorry.
So, anyways, TJ actually says, hey, all the girls, can you go outside?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
As if he's going to have something to say to all the guys.
Yeah.
And then once all the girls left, he's like, psych, I'm done with them.
He takes off, and all the guys are just kind of sitting there like, they're all gone. You know what I mean? Like, what do we do? And they start cheering. They're like, yeah.
Like, awesome, dude's night out.
Yeah, they love the fact that they're
I feel like if it was all the chicks, we were just seeing them like sulking, like, oh no. But the dudes are like, hey, let's party, this is awesome. But then they do cut to later, and then it's just crickets, and they're all just sitting there like, yeah, we're bored. What's happening?
Eating dinner. All you could hear is like the scraping of the forks and knives on the plates. They're just kind of eating or whatever. They don't have much to say. Eventually, Vince and Bananas, they take off.
Yeah.
Once they're gone, that's when they're like, okay.
This would be a perfect time to start talking about something.
Yes. Devin, he leads the charge, or he leads the conversation. He says, you know what? If any of us gets to the final with Vince and Bananas, and let's be fair, Vince and Jenna, Bananas and Sarah.
Yep.
If any of us are there with them, we are guaranteed 3rd place. Now, he's saying this as a bad thing. Little do we know that Dario's there sitting like... Oh,
3rd place sounds pretty damn nice.
Oh, it's so disappointing,
exactly.
though. So disappointing.
But if you get 3rd place in a final, you don't really get much. What do you get, like $10,000 or something? Because you're splitting it with your partner.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember. But you are guaranteed money. Usually on Rivals 1 and 2, if you get 3rd place, you don't get shit. Or at least Rivals 1. I guess you got paid Rivals 3, but whatever. Anyway, or Rivals 2. But anyways, so now Devin is saying like, yeah, so no matter what, any 5 of us win, we got to put those 2 in. And Corey is sitting there, and he's like, I think it's all about timing, and I don't think tomorrow's the right time. Now, if I was any of these other guys, I'd turn on him and be like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Like, I felt that was so very telling, because remember,
yeah,
Corey and Bananas and Vince, they had that boat outing. They shook hands, and they just had that previous conversation, you know what I mean?
And well, it kind of made sense, because they just had that boat outing. Corey has that kind of allegiance to Bananas, as well as, because, Bananas has said he's going to help him out, even though we've heard Bananas say behind his back that, like, yeah, I'm going to sell him out as soon as I can because of what he did to me last season.
Yeah.
So Corey is in this weird middle ground, and he's like, alright, I just want to wait it out a little bit longer. And I think Corey thinks that if they did get rid of Bananas or Vince, that's part of his somewhat alliance, and he would probably be one of the teams on the chopping block next. So he's trying to be a little self-protective, and it's kind of obvious. It's like, oh yeah, obviously you're gonna say that.
I just wanted the other guys to really take notice of that. Like, why'd you say that? Like, why isn't tomorrow a good time? Like, do you even know the mission? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I felt that was kind of troublesome. But anyways, let's talk about the actual mission, and it's called Take It to the Grave. And that's where, the guys show up, and the girls have been gone all fucking night. And now TJ's like, alright, so all your female partners are buried underneath these gravestones or whatever. And the guys are like, yeah!
And they're all cheering and happy, and they're like, no, this is not the reaction we're trying for. It was so funny.
And Bananas is even just like, awesome. He starts walking away. And Teach's like, no, they're buried alive.
As if that was like, it was like, well, that's fine. It was like, as long as they're buried, like, we don't care if they're dead or alive. We're happy.
It was great. So anyways, the whole point of this is that it's basically the Newlywed Game, right? All the females were asked questions.
Yeah, it was trivia, but like we've seen trivia in the past, and trivia can often be like, okay, what is this country's, what is their first language? And if you ask Bananas, what is Australia's first language, he will say, like, French or something. Dutch. He got that wrong. I don't know how Bananas ever got Australia's first language wrong.
Actually, I wouldn't even know it either, so.
It's English. Come on.
Is it?
Everyone knows Australians speak English. Yeah, bloke. Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Crikey.
Yeah, exactly. Steve Irwin.
Right.
But, like, a lot of times with the trivia, it's just random facts. Like, oh, who did this person marry or something?
Yeah,
this celebrity.
pop culture shit.
Yeah. And this time, it's only about your partner and how well do you know your partner. And everyone's asked the same questions, which is good, too. Because in the other trivia ones with pop culture, everyone gets a different question. This one, everyone gets the same. You write it down, newlywed game style. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and so they're going to be asked questions, and they're going to have to move up the line every single time they get a thing correct, and then eventually they're going to have to pick the tombstone with their birth date on it, their date of birth, and then dig them up. That'd be kind of tough. You know what I mean? Because not only do girls, like, forward, they're asked about their weight. Girls lie about their weight. They also lie about their age. You know what I mean?
I feel like I'm a challenge if they're all within the age range where they're not going to lie about it quite yet. Maybe once when they're in their late 30s, then they might start lying about it.
But it would almost be even harder because if they're all in the same age range, especially, it's all going to be like 89 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you would have to legit know it, like, because, I mean, I didn't get a good look at all their birthdays, but you could easily have a couple people like, oh yeah, it's in July sometime. Is it 89, 90, 91? But they all did seem to know it, so, I mean, it is possible that they did kind of talk it over a little bit.
Well, they could also hear the girls talk, so eventually you could kind of zero in on exactly where their partners is, because the whole time they're like, you idiot, or they're laughing.
Yeah, because there's like the PVC pipe, which is their air,
that's right,
or whatever, that comes out next to the tombstone, and they're able to like breathe from that oxygen and then kind of yell out of it.
If they were true badasses, they would just fucking like punch out of it, like Kill Bill style.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. that would be so great if that was an option. If your male partner is a dumbass, you could just punch your way out of it. It'd be awesome. Okay, so let's so Wes gets to decide, since him and Nani won elimination, he could choose 3 teams to start off one line behind everyone else.
Was it 3 teams? I thought it was 2.
No, it was 3 because he says Bananas, Vince, and Corey.
Yep.
The fact that Corey was invited to that boat trip just hurt him so much.
Yep. And then what he said at the dinner.
Yeah, hopefully, maybe Wes heard that and he's like, I'll put that in my pocket for later. So let's get into the mission. I honestly don't remember too much. I just wrote down the questions, and maybe we'll kind of go through that way.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of random questions. Some of them are funny, some are entertaining.
Okay, question number 1. What's your partner's eye color or whatever? Which can be easy and whatever. I don't know. Like, do you pay attention to people's eye color?
Not really. I really don't.
No. Devin gets his wrong because Cheyenne's eyes are hazel.
Which is like, bullshit. But hazel's a bullshit answer because hazel means half green and half brown.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I know it's like brown and something else.
It's like a greenish, brownish, yellowish. But I think it's half green and half brown. Where it's like, no, you have to stay committal to just either green or brown. You can't have a half answer. And that's what hazel is. It's a half answer. So right as it was like hazel, I was like, no, there's no way anyone gets hazel right. Because technically, I think I have hazel eyes. But you know what? I just say I have green eyes. That's what I say.
Yeah?
Yeah, because there's like the outer part is more green, the inner part is more brown.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, I've had 2 ex-girlfriends that have had hazel eyes. I mean, they still have hazel eyes.
I did until I plucked them out.
When I do that. It's over, Vince. Oh, yeah? Just pluck them out.
No, it was a serial killer type, like, ritualistic
Oh,
thing.
it wasn't me. I'm not even on the suspect list? Never
No,
mind.
no, you're the number
God
one
damn it,
suspect.
fuck.
You're just never convicted.
They always blame the boyfriend.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
still have questions about you. What do you think I'm carrying a knife in my pocket?
But like,
Self-defense.
but like, you know, when they're like, so, you know, what color are my eyes? Or I don't know. They'll eventually ask me that, and I'm like, brown. And they're like, nah, that's fucking hazel, you bastard and shit. So, anyways, okay, so Devin gets that wrong, and he says, I don't even know how to spell it.
Yeah,
Great joke.
That was a bad joke because it's an easy word to spell.
Okay, so next is weight. And Bananas is like, listen, girls, they lie. You know what I mean? They subtract. If it's like, how many sex partners have you had? Or, you know, how much is your weight? Or how much...
I usually dog are poignant and spot on.
Yeah,
because
for
it is
sure.
true.
Yeah, we're here to support Bananas this episode.
No,
ripping
just
out of
in
them.
this very instance. This is the first time we've mentioned him this episode, so I have to say something positive before I, you know...
But that is totally personal. You know, for chicks don't ever want to fucking mention that unless they're like super skinny and they're like, I'm fucking 120 or something. I don't even know what the...
No, like super skinny chicks who weigh 120, they're pissed off they don't weigh 110. So like even those chicks don't want to talk about their weight. Like it doesn't matter.
That's true.
And like I have no problem with it. Like you don't. Yeah, if you want to be private about it, it's fine. Guys, we always talk about our weight because we watch UFC and we're like,
Yeah, what
middleweight.
division are you in, bro?
Yeah, I'm welterweight. Come on, bring me on.
Yeah, and
I would fight you and fight, but we're not in the same division, so you know it's not gonna happen.
okay, so I understand eye color. You know, you just have to look at a girl and like maybe you'll know, maybe you won't. But weight, how is that ever discussed? You know
We're
what I
not
mean?
going to discuss it. It's more of kind of just a random question where it's like, okay, you should be able to ballpark it. And you just have to be right within 5 pounds. Like, Wes got it wrong. He said 30, but it was, or 130, but Nani said 140. So if Wes would have, like, Wes was trying to be nice. He probably figured she was going to say 135, but he went 5 pounds too low.
Yeah, and anyways, next question, weakness. What's their biggest weakness? And this is the part where like Nate starts to fall behind. He starts to lag behind because I felt that Christina's answers were really fucking bizarre. Her weakness was emotions. And Nate's like, what does that have to do with the challenge? He was thinking
Strength, right?
yeah,
Isn't that what he put? I feel like it was strength.
her weakness is the strength.
Because
Or
she's
is
so
strength
skinny, yeah.
Yeah. But still, like, it's just, Nate, you know...
It
let's
was a
just-
little off the wall. Like, you have to be very, like, easy and simple-minded, like I was saying with Dario and Nicole, where it was just very, okay, this is... We're not going to go outside the box with the answers. We're going to just kind of make it very simple so the other person can guess it. That's part of the Newlywed Game, if you've ever watched it. Like, I've seen it on the Game Show Network, you know, the old...
I've never seen it.
The throwbacks from, you know, 78, 79, where sometimes you get the people where they're just throwing out oddball answers, where it's like, your partner's not going to be able to guess something that specific. You can't be specific with the answers. You have to be very vague.
That's true. Broad.
Mm-hmm.
More easier to land on and shit. So let's go on to number 1 ally team. Now this is the time where they're really airing out all this personal shit at the most crucial point, which I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's dramatic, but at the same time, that's that's kind of the big cause of today's episode, where everyone knows everything.
Yeah,
You know
and
what
it
I
was just this, like, previous episode where they kind of all decide, hey, we need to get rid of Bananas and Vince.
Yeah.
Wes is like, all right, we have, you know, Wes and Devin and Dario, and Nate, if they all kind of like group together, they can get rid of those top dogs, those big contenders. But then now they're just like, all right, trivia, boom, like everyone's gonna know whose side who's on.
Yeah. Next is, now it's even worse. Which team are you gunning for? Holy shit.
Yeah, but like a lot of them, it was kind of easy because you do have those rivals that are very simple. Like Wes is gonna be Bananas. Bananas is gonna be Wes.
Right. And I really didn't write every single part down. I tend to kind of like my eyes kind of glaze over in my head when trivia's on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kinda
But and there were, I don't even remember the teams, but there were a few teams where it's like they didn't really have a big rival, like Nate and Christina. They really didn't have a big rival. So I don't remember who they put, but they got it wrong. They got like most of them wrong.
Yeah, Nate and Christina are gonna come in last this episode because they do so badly.
I'm sure one of them said like Corey and Ashley, and the other person said like Devin and Cheyenne. Like they don't know. Or maybe it was Bananas. Who knows?
Next is who's the layup? Now everyone puts Nate and Christina.
Yeah.
Even Nate does.
Yeah.
And Christina's pissed. She's like, "How are you gonna say it's us?" And Nate, what he had to say was like, "We've talked so many times how we're the layups, and we're probably gonna get far because of that fact."
Yeah. Because every team or every year on the challenge, there's always that team that skates by because they're the layup.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I think it's well.
Which one was it? Jenna and Brianna.
Kind of.
Although they
were kind of good though. They did kind of earn it.
Yep.
But we've seen it in other years where when it was Jenna and Jay, like that was the obvious layup team.
Yeah.
So it happens a lot, and it helps you, and it's okay. Like you kind of need to embrace it. Like, hey, if this is what's gonna get us to a final, so be it.
Yeah, and Christina said Dario and Nicole, and it's like, are they?
Dario's not a layup. He's
Yeah.
a big, strong dude. Nicole, she seems like she has good endurance. They did good in that little mini mission, final mission where they had to climb up the walls.
Did they get like second or something? They did really good.
They did really awesome.
So I felt like it. I mean, it's not just Nate's fault. It's Christina. Like there's no communication, and like they have talked about this, but Christina changed her answer, especially for this one. She's like, "We're not going to admit that I'm a layup."
Yeah, we gotta keep it simple, you know.
Okay, so again, this is crazy. Which two teams do you want in a final? Which I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. That's just digging up. That's exposing so much plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So and the thing is you almost want to throw them off your scent with the answer. It's like, do you say like, oh yeah, the two teams I want, are they the two easiest teams you can beat, or is it the two people in your alliance you trust the most? Like you want to reassure them, like, yeah, you're on my side.
Well, Nate gets this wrong again because he says Bananas and Sarah, Vince and Jenna.
The two strongest teams.
Now, Christina's like, no, that's not right because they're the two strongest team. Why would you want to be on in a final with the two strongest team? And Nate, he put that because they legit made a deal with those teams. He isn't trying to expose himself at all. He's like, well, we shook hands or we made a deal with these teams, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. And Christina didn't write that at all. She put something else. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not siding with either of them. I'm actually siding more with Nate.
And I think that's okay because I think it's kind of right too. I don't think her answers were. It's not something where you're going to get your partner to match. That the whole point is to get the partner to match. It doesn't. Don't give like the super honest answer. You're not picking the honest answer of what you truly believe. You're picking what you think your partner said.
Yeah, and what she should have said was Bananas, Sarah, Jenna, and Vince because they made deals with them. It makes sense, but he gets it wrong. So whatever. Next is who holds more power within the team. Nearly all the dudes said me. Wes said Nani, and he got it right.
So confused when he wrote it down, and when I showed it, and I was like, "Why are you saying that, Wes? You're obviously in control of this team." But for whatever, like Nani has to have control. So in her mind, like
at least the illusion of control.
I'm sure Wes reassures her every day. You're in charge. Whatever you say, I'll keep you happy. Yeah. That's how Wes is keeping this, this rivalry because. As much as we talk about how like Wes and Nani are getting along, they really don't seem to truly get along. They've never gotten along before that well, but they're both more mature, at least Wes is, and he's just, all right, we're going to make this work. So Wes is just feeding her the answers that she wants.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting it right, and Nani even says, the more he answers this correctly, I realize that we have more in common with each other, and that's what Wes has been doing this entire season. Nani's been kind of hesitant, like, I don't fucking know you, I block you on Twitter and shit like that, you know what I mean, for commenting on my pictures, but Wes wants to make that bridge, you know what I mean? He has nothing really against Nani, plus, she's his fucking teammate. Yeah. Make that bridge. You know what I mean?
And Wes knows tons about her, you know. She plays 4-square and 2-square and volleyball and track. Ding, ding, ding.
We forgot to mention that last episode. Yeah. That's
Oh, we
great.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the best parts. It's because Wes, he's a good listener.
Next is, who is the sexiest guy? Now, I don't remember too much, but Sarah was like, well, if I have to say something, because I'm married, by the way, Vince looks more like her husband, apparently.
Apparently, yeah, they have the same haircut and they're muscly dudes.
Beard and whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I get that. But there was an inordinate amount of people picking bananas for this, and I was confused by it.
There
Seemed like too many chicks were picking bananas, and I'm like, bananas? Sexy? Like, I don't know. To me, I thought the correct answer was Dario. Just tall, dark, and handsome, right?
I guess. I mean,
No
it's up to
brains,
you,
all
dude.
brawn. But I don't know. I guess he's the stereotypical guy for being a handsome guy. Like, you're not going to pick Wes, a ginger. Bananas is kind of short and annoying. Vince, I mean, I guess he's good looking, but he's kind of annoying as well. Dario, I don't know. Maybe it's Corey. I think Corey's probably the best looking guy now that I think about it.
Total girlfriend. But but Nicole, she puts Nate, you know, which is good.
Yep.
So.
As she should have.
Yeah. So, but that didn't help Nate. That just helped Dario. So, because Dario knew, you know, like, yeah. Nicole's like, I've opened up to him. No one else has seen my real face more than Nate.
And he accepts her.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with her face at all.
That's why it's
Did
upsetting.
we mention that?
Yeah.
Just the whole like polar opposites. I can't remember if this is pre-podcast or post-podcast.
No, I think we most definitely
Did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember at all.
Yeah, it's that stark contrast that really gets you. But the thing is like Nate's okay with both faces. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Nate has a preference. I would love to know his preference.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, you know what? Maybe he's just like, you know what? Sometimes I want a girl that's all done up and shit, and sometimes I want an Amish-looking
From.
Brazilian or whatever you from. Jesus Christ. All right, we're talking Dutch country right here. All right, so next is, who's the sleaziest guy?
Who's the sleaziest guy? I don't know, I'm feeling a little
Vince
sleazy.
was up there so much.
Oh yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
So-
because we saw on the last, no, it wasn't even the last, it was the episode before, but it was the mission where they're on the box. Vince is up there with Jenna, and Jenna's just like, get your hands off me. And Vince is just like, oh, I'm just going to use it as an excuse to like touch your back and your legs and just kind of touch up on you like a sleaze.
Yeah. So, okay, next is, who's the biggest idiot? I don't remember any answers at this point. But this is the crucial point for Dario and Bananas. It's a race between the two of them to dig up their partners. Dario gets to Nicole first. They ring the bell, and I'm like, holy shit.
It
they
was
won,
nuts.
woo.
When it was, they both get to dig them up at the same time. And to me, I'm thinking like, do you remember when Zach was going against Sarah's partner from Battle of Exodus 2 with
Jordan.
the axe? Jordan, yeah.
Yeah.
When it's like, okay, you have a big, strong guy, you know, Zach is like Dario, and then like Bananas is like Jordan, and then I'm like, okay, Bananas is gonna have better technique at shoveling, and Dario's just not. I'm like, Dario's his long arms, it's gonna take him too long to shovel, but like no, like that was my fear. I'm like, Bananas is gonna end up winning this, and like he's gonna ruin the whole episode. I was so terrified. I'm like, they have this awesome alliance going, and Bananas is just gonna thwart it all. Little did I know it was still gonna happen that way, but it's like Dario won. It was like I was so happy when Dario won. I'm like, yes, good, Dario won. I'm like, you know what? Bananas and Vince, they're both going in. They might come out victors, but at least they're gonna go in and have to earn to come back.
Yeah, they're gonna have to sweat it out at least a little bit.
Yep.
One of those two. But the other thing I have to mention is that, like, I mean, it could have went. It's just digging. I didn't assume Bananas would win, but I'm like, well, I mean, they have been on a hot streak, so I was pleasantly surprised with Dario winning. I just mentioned that because later on, TJ is gonna be like, Dario, you defeated Bananas in digging. Like, That is so amazing that you did
yeah.
that. And I'm like, take Bananas' balls out of your mouth, TJ. Jesus Christ,
He
man.
did a little over-congratulate.
Yeah,
for
like
that.
he like TJ provides this color commentary, and he's just so goddamn biased. Sorry, I just-
Amazing performance out digging
Yeah,
Bananas.
yeah.
Amazing.
Well, actually, you left out the beginning part of that conversation. He was like, "Oh, amazing performance." Sorry, Bananas. All right. So, anyways, Dario wins. Bananas digs up Sarah second. There we go. Next question is, who's the strongest team? I don't remember any fucking. No, it was unanimously Bananas and Sarah, right? Everyone,
Yeah.
and it's the
both,
truth.
They're the only teammates who have both won finals.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay, so then eventually I think Corey gets in there and he's able to. They get third place. Next is name. What's your best whatever? Endurance, strength, or intelligence, or something like that. Yeah.
Wes and Nani, they finally got this right because they'd gotten like the last couple wrong,
That's right.
which was a little weird that they got them wrong. And this one they get right, but I thought they should have got this one wrong.
What was it? What was the answer again?
They said that their strength was their strength was strength,
There's-
and that their weakness was it intelligence or puzzles?
Well, that's
or...
the next question, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And they got this right, but like I thought their strength was their intelligence because they're political. But they were thinking intelligence like puzzle wise.
Yeah, but it's very upsetting that it wasn't endurance because like that is the final. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
Yeah.
true. And I mean, I don't know how they would work in a final. I love the team of Wes and Nani, but them in a final, I have my reservations.
I
There's
mean,
other
yeah.
people I feel stronger about for sure.
I mean, people could say like, remember when Nani? Laurel beat Nani by like not too much. Remember Nani got to the top of the volcano on at the end of Free Agents right before Laurel did. Remember, like she led
Yeah.
Laurel the entire time. So that does kind of make me feel a little bit better about Wes and Nani.
But that was probably about like 400 cartons of cigarettes previous to the season.
the Nani dance.
Yeah.
All right, so the next thing is like, what's their worst? Endurance, strength, or intelligence? I don't remember shit about this, but yeah, it was like a repeat. And then eventually, Wes, he gets fourth place. He gets it right with the strength. He gets fourth place, and then it's like I think Devin gets it, and then finally it's like, who's the fan favorite? I don't remember who the fuck wrote what. I don't know. Either way, Nate's getting it all wrong.
Yeah, Nate and Christina are like yelling and bickering and completely on the wrong page.
Yeah. And then it's who do you love to hate? I don't know. It was all these questions where like I didn't care at this point because most of these people are done.
This was kind of annoying to me watching it because people are frantically digging and TJ is slowly asking these questions
Yeah.
as if there's not some kind of race. And they're like, come on, spit out your freaking answer, or spit out the question, TJ, come on. And he's just slowly asking them, and it was annoying to me. I don't know. And like maybe it was the right way to do it because you want them to have to wait a certain amount of time. But it was just frustrating.
Yeah, that's TJ though. Like he's always at the speed where like, to me personally, he lulls me to sleep. Where I'm like,
Well, he does have that stoner speak where he
He
talks
does.
very slowly
Yeah.
and deliberate, and it's like, we know the next words that are coming out of your mouth, so just say them fucking faster.
yeah. Okay, so finally Vince he secures the spot, beating Nate, Christina, which was pretty much a lock for last place. And Nate, he's smiling. He's kind of taking it in stride. He knows that they're last, but he just kind of tosses it. And to me, it's fine. Like, it's kind of lighthearted, whatever. And when Nate finally digs up Christina, he's like, you totally screwed us. He's saying it with a smile on his face. He knows that they fucked up. But Christina, she gets pissed. She's just like, how the fuck did I screw you over or whatever? Like, she's just screaming at him, basically.
Well, I understand why Nate would say that, but at the same time, it was the absolute wrong time to say that. Like,
you can joke about that and say that like an hour and a half from now, but you don't say it immediately after she gets out of that coffin because she was just
Plus,
freaking
she's in a
buried in
coffin,
there.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was in the coffin for the last hour and a half, 2 hours, who knows.
Do you think?
So it was completely stupid of him to start doing that right then and there. Like, hey, yeah, like if you're joking, if he's saying it as a joke, but it's coming off as serious because of the state of mind she's in.
That's true. And they have to go to a jungle, and I'm sure she's not confident in herself or him,
Yeah.
the guy who didn't jump the plane. And she throws that back in his face. Remember that?
Exactly. I thought that was awesome because I really dug into Nate. That was my first impression of Nate, was the guy who's too scared to jump out of a plane. Where it's like, you've watched the challenge before. There's
You've
lots.
done that yourself.
I have jumped out of a plane.
But you weren't.
Since then, I was dogging on Nate, and then after that, what was it? Like a month ago, I jumped out of a plane, went skydiving. It was fucking awesome. One of the coolest things ever. I can't wait to do it again. So much fun.
Yeah,
Nate
but you're not
will
scared
never
of
know that.
heights, though, dude.
Not
like
scared
my
of
brother's,
heights.
But my brother's scared of heights, and he would never do that. Dude, you have to understand phobias. I am terrified of bats. When a bat flies in, I was with my girlfriend at the time. I sank into my chair. I'm like, oh my god, there's a bat in here. And she was just like, shoo, get out of here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And then she looked down at me and she's like, you fucking pussy. I'm going to leave you years from now. But yeah.
Yeah, but Batman was afraid of bats. Look what he did with that. He made it his strength.
He had to
All
throw
right?
Batman in my
Exactly.
face. God damn it.
He made his phobia his strength.
I am not going to do that.
No, don't try to. You don't have Bruce Wayne's money. It's never going to work
Yeah,
for you.
that's
So, this is not advice for you. I'm just saying that I'm afraid of heights too. No one wants to fall and hit the ground.
No, you're not. You never would have jumped. You're scared of heights?
I'm completely afraid of heights.
I've never heard of
I've
this.
been to the Sears Tower, where you go up to like the 100 and something story, or I don't know how tall it is, and you can walk up to the glass window and look down. I walked up, I looked down, and I was just like, I just started walking back slowly, and I just walked back until I hit a wall behind me, and I just stood there against the wall, and I was like, I am not looking down again. I'm terrified of that. Fuck that. I mean, I guess some people have like the life-crippling phobias, but you know what? To me, Nate doesn't have that. You know why? Because he got on the plane. If he was truly afraid of heights, he wouldn't have gotten on that plane.
That's true.
He did get on the plane. He let the parachute be strapped to him. And I asked, when I went skydiving, I asked the guy I was with, I was like, how many people, like, get up in the plane and then decide they don't, I never told you this, how many people decide they don't want to jump after they're up in the plane? And he's like, well, we do thousands and thousands of these a year. And I'm like, well, how many a year? He's like, maybe one person per year. Out of thousands, only like maybe one person per year will get on the plane and then decide not to jump.
Now, okay.
That one guy is Nate. Fuck Nate.
Yeah, I was going to say, my only argument is that, listen, Nate was part of a challenge. Producers ushered them into this situation. He wasn't going to his so-called girlfriend's birthday. He knew he wasn't going to get laid afterwards, so he didn't. Alright, let's get off the subject. Anyways.
Yeah, I know, but he's still, like, Nate ends up still hooking up with Nicole regardless of him jumping out.
Well, that
Like,
was
he did the ultimate pussy thing ever, like, pussing out.
That's true.
How did Nicole approve of that? That's disturbing. I don't know. I still hold it against Nate. Oh, we should move on.
Alright, so now TJ, he congratulates Dario, and that's where he's like totally going down on Bananas. Like, you beat Bananas of all people. That was amazing. So yeah, what a ball licker. Anyways, back at the house. This is a crazy moment because Dario has just won, and Nicole she's talking to him, and she's like, you know what? Corey has a deal with Wes, and I'm just telling you right now. You know what I mean? She's kind of apologetic. She's like, I'm sorry, but I've known this for a while. And Dario's just kind of sitting there, and he's like, what? Like, Corey and I are friends. We were part of the Four Horsemen. And Nicole's like, what? Four Horsemen? What do you mean? She's like, well, there was, these teams with bloodlines. She's like, that's not even four people. They're like, yeah, it's this
It was an
stupid
alliance
joke.
an episode. It lasted, like, all of 4 minutes on an episode once.
Yeah, Dario's like, this is a stupid joke that Dave and Vince made on a podcast. She's like, what the fuck's a podcast?
But she does say, she's like, I've known this for a while. And it was like, for a while? You mean like a day? She heard it like a day ago.
No, really?
Yeah, she heard Nani's conversation with Corey.
I honestly felt that she's known for a while because Nani and Nicole are cousins.
Yeah.
I honestly felt that she has known for a while.
I thought this was all stemming from the conversation at the bar, or
I mean,
at least maybe that's the way they try to portray it on the show.
Well, it certainly helps to remind the audience that they have a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like we've known it, but this may have been Nicole's first encounter of it. Because who really knows how much Nani talks to Nicole? Because
what? They're cousins. They tell each other everything.
But alliance stuff like that, where Nicole doesn't need to know. I don't feel like she does because well, here's the thing. Nicole, she has a history of hearing something and then spitting up to someone else and causing drama with it. She did it with the whole Nani Camilla fight.
Yeah.
5 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Nicole hears something, goes and blabs about it and starts something with it. And it's like when she was doing it, this was just a repeat in my head. And I'm like, not again, Nicole. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, whether I'm right or you're right, either way, Nicole is just going to cause trouble this episode.
Yep.
Just with what holy shit. She's up to her old tricks, which to me is actually new tricks because I still don't really know Nicole at all. So.
But the thing is, anytime you're going to report information, you need to be like a journalist. You need to check your sources. You need to check other people's sources. Why doesn't she take this to Nani? Talk to her about it. Talk to Wes about it. Maybe talk to Corey about it. Get some facts and be like, okay, get a better perspective on the whole situation. And be like, okay, yeah, this is... And that way she can help out her team a little bit more. Instead, she just says something to Dario only. Dario takes his info and he just runs with it.
That's true, and but the other thing I have to say is that remember Nicole is cousins of Nani. Nani is not a political player. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why I don't feel like Nani would have hid this thing from Nicole. She doesn't have the foresight. She doesn't have that sort of long-term thinking. That's the only reason why
I don't feel like she would have brought it up because she's not a political thinker. Like, I don't feel like she would even talk about that stuff because it's not something she wants to, I don't know, acknowledge.
Well, either way, Nicole tells Dario that at the most craziest part because they just won and now Dario's mind is just fucking like, he's just like, what? Like, all this shit is running through his mind. So next, Dario's talking to Wes. They're like hanging out in a bedroom or whatever, and he's like, I can't believe it. And Wes is like, hey, listen, I know that you might feel that, what does he say? Corey's fixable. Bananas and Vince aren't. They're not gonna fucking like suddenly take you in or whatever. We still have to stick to the plan. We have to put those two in. Corey's your friend. That bridge can be mended or whatever, that friendship can be mended. And Wes is saying a lot of sense, you know what I mean? From his point of view, from any kind of point of view. But Dario, he's sitting there and in confession, he's like, Wes doesn't know that I know that Corey and him are in alliance together, but I know everything. So when Wes is trying to reassure Dario that like, hey man, Corey's your friend, you can mend this, Dario is not hearing that at all. He's just saying, you guys made a deal without me and you kept me in the dark. That's the main thing that's just driving Dario's
And
motivation.
what Dario doesn't know is like, yeah, Corey did make a deal with Wes, but he made one with Bananas and Vince too. Like, Corey has a deal with everyone because he's trying to be on both sides of the fence with everyone. He's playing it smart. And Dario just gets a whiff of it, and Dario's being an idiot about it. Because Dario's all pissed off. He's like, oh, I'm not their number one. I'm not Corey's number one. We're friends, but I'm not his number one go-to guy in his alliance. And that was kind of brought up in the trivia portion, right?
I think so, yeah.
So that's also perpetuates the feeling of Dario feels like he's awesome, And I feel like Dario's ego is really hurt by this.
Yep.
He doesn't feel like anyone's really watching out for him. But you know what, Dario, you're in a really good spot right now. Because you're not on anyone's radar. You're not the layup, but you're not anyone's number one. You're right where you want to be. You're right in between.
You're not a target either.
No one's talking about you.
No.
You're invisible to everyone. There's other teams. People would rather throw in Devin and Cheyenne because they got sent home, they came back. They're still considered outsiders. People want to throw them in.
Mm-hmm.
Nate and Christina, they're layups, they're easy picking. People want to throw them in. And then plus like Bananas and Vince, they want to throw in Wes. Wes wants to throw in Bananas and Vince.
Yep.
Dario's just, he's good right where he's at, just like Corey is.
But
both in great positions.
But Dario wants to be part of the conversation. That's the main thing that's hurting him. He doesn't like the fact that he doesn't know that all these other, that hands are being shaken behind his back or without him knowing it. And that's just driving him nuts right now. So during the Power Team dinner, they invite Bananas and Sarah first. Now, Dario, he says, hey man, Corey and Wes are aligned together. And Bananas is like, what? Oh, well now I have no problem throwing in Corey. And I'm like, you just said in the previous episode on the boat that like, yeah, Vince and I are like shaking hands with Corey when really we're just gonna slit his throat later on because he threw us in bloodlines. You know what I mean? So now Bananas is just kind of like retconning his whole fucking thing. He's like saying, I don't know.
Now Bananas has the reason to throw Corey under the bus. He's like, well, this is going to be a short-term alliance. And now he's like, oh, here we go. Now this is why I made the alliance. So that way I can sell him out. And if I can grab Dario and bring him on board, Dario will be my new number 3 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Bananas is just saying, like, he was going to betray Corey anyways. And now he's saying on camera again, he's like, oh, well, this is a good reason to fucking throw him in. It's just like, whatever, man. Like,
but to me, this is why Bananas is so good, because he realizes these opportunities in the game when other players start to freak out like Dario does and gets worried about shit. Bananas like, hey, all right, well, you know what? This has happened like perfectly to script. He's like, I've seen this before. All right, fine. You jump on. You'll be next in line in my alliance, and we'll get rid of Corey. Because you know what? Whatever team is the Power Team, they're in charge. And Bananas, his job is just to save himself this week. And not only is he saving himself, but he's saving Bananas. Because they're kind of a package deal.
Yeah, and now, I mean, Dario's saying, I respect Bananas and Sarah. Like, you guys are so good. And I know that Vince and Jenna are a prepackaged deal. I want to have that third spot. Now, this kind of goes back to what we were saying before in the previous season. Where, like, they just assume Bananas is going to be in the final, and they just want to be there with him. Not necessarily to beat him, but to get guaranteed money.
They just want to be number 3. Devin and Cheyenne, Devin is smart enough to know he doesn't want to be number 3. Like, he wants to be able to get number 2 or number 1. He wants to have a shot at winning. Dario, number 3. That sounds amazing. Let's do it.
It's just, oh my god. I mean, do you want money in the final? Sure. I personally would prefer to win, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just screaming at the TV at this point about at Dario. You know what I mean?
When we talk about how Bananas and Sarah is such a strong team, that's because Sarah's won a final. Why did Sarah win a final? Because she realized, hey, I can't have Bananas in the final. I need to send him in and get rid of him. Sarah gets rid of Bananas, then she wins. There's no way Sarah and Jordan would have beaten Bananas.
Yeah.
In a final. It wouldn't have happened.
Oh my god.
But she was smart enough to get rid of him. And you would think other teams would think the same way, but sometimes guys like Dario are like, hey, you know what? I'm fine. I'll be 3rd place in a final. Good enough for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, that's the whole reason why Sarah and Bananas are paired up today, because Sarah had the fucking balls, or had the horses, as Bananas said, to fucking vote him in.
Yep. Even though she's backtracked insanely since then and talked about how sorry she is about
I'm
it.
so
But
sorry.
it was really the most brilliant, greatest thing that Sarah's ever done. And now she talks like how she regrets it, and it's kind of pitiful.
That's the only thing that's made Sarah significant in my eyes.
Yeah, it's the only
she
thing
made
that
that
she's
move.
done that's been respectable.
Yeah, and that finally got her that win. She lost 3 finals up until whatever. Okay. So, anyways, so now they call in Corey and Ashley, and Nicole says, "No bullshit. Who's your number 1 and who's your number 2?" And Corey says, "Who do you think it is?"
Exactly. It was the same political answers where it's non-committal. He's like,
And that that just drove Nicole crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, okay, well, who's your number 3? And Corey's like, I don't even have a number 3. No, it actually makes sense because there's only 3 slots in the goddamn final. You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
what else is he gonna say?
yeah,
really?
number 3. Well, it depends who beats each other in that last elimination.
And I think he said, like, I'm not gonna name Dario's name or whatever, but like clearly, like, he's not thinking to have his friend in the final with him at all. He's thinking for himself, but he's playing the game. But Nicole, as much as we want to say, like, oh, she's kind of like not the brightest or whatever, I mean, she's bright enough to realize, like, hey, we're not in the conversation at all. And so does Dario. You know what I mean?
She's divulging all the information she knows, which really isn't enough. She should have taken it to other people and gotten, hey, you should have gone to Wes, or she should have waited before this dinner to start doing this and do a little bit of investigating.
Yeah.
One thing I do wonder about is, and we never see this on screen, do you think that maybe Dario's a little bit cautious of his friendship with Corey because Corey and Ashley previously sent in Thomas and Simone.
I was just
And
gonna mention
Corey
that,
and
yeah.
Thomas were once like really good friends.
They were boys. They were also
Yeah.
part of the Four Horsemen.
Yes. And Corey sold out Thomas, so maybe Dario thinks he's next. I feel like if they would have somehow shown that in like a backstage interview, I would have kind of agreed a little bit more with Dario's premise on why he needs to just kind of be like, screw you, Wes, screw you, Corey. I'm going with Bananas and Vince.
Okay, so now Corey's like, okay, you caught me, right? So he says, but you still have the power to put in Bananas and Vince. You know what I mean? So, like, Corey still has, like, the ability to just say, like, okay, yeah, fine, I'm sorry that you are not involved in my plans, even though we are bros. I'm not going to say your name, but I'm definitely not making any deals that you are in the final, which is, like, fair enough. But he says, dude, you still have the power to put in these 2 dudes. That was our conversation, you know what I mean? So now, let's cut to the actual nomination. And once again, TJ says, like, Nate and Christina, you guys should know each other by now or whatever. I don't know why I mentioned it. It meant nothing to me except, like, oh, God, TJ, you suck.
It was him just rehashing, like, oh, you guys did bad in the mission. This is why, because you don't know each other that well. Ha.
Yeah, but, like, is it worse to fail physically? Like, pick what you want to rip on people, TJ. You know what I mean? Nate and Christina, they've won before, remember? They won that thing where, like, they're pushing the carts and they grab the flags. You know what I mean? That's impressive. And now he's just going to rip on them like they were nothing now because they just don't know their answers or whatever.
Because Christina made some stupid answers. But
okay, so now finally his first nomination is Corey and Ashley. He says, sure, we make friends, but things were said behind my back. You guys are going in, right?
my first reaction was, okay, if you're going to put them in, it's stupid. But first off, you don't say their name first. For just the dramatic effect of television, you say that name last, alright?
Dude, that's so amazing.
Right? Because when I watched it, I was just like, why would you say that? That's the bombshell. Like, if you're going to say Devin and Cheyenne, you just say that one first, because that's a throwaway.
Yeah, and their second team is Devin and Cheyenne, and it's just so nonchalant. Like, and of course Devin and Cheyenne, because I mean, honestly, like, how many times have Devin and Cheyenne been nominated? Either because they don't know them, or because they don't deserve to be
This is
there.
the 4th time.
Yeah, 3rd or 4th time.
4th time is what I saw on Twitter.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you're totally right. And when Wes later says, like, Dario, you suck at this game, he could have said, you suck at this show. Put in Devin and Cheyenne first, then drop the bombshell.
Yeah,
Brilliantly
exactly.
said. Yeah.
You suck at this show.
So now they put in Devin and Cheyenne, but now this is where the big uproar happens. They say that Dario basically says because Wes and Nani and Devin and Cheyenne, who are together, I mean, Wes and Devin are together, they made a deal with Corey, who is my own friend, you know, Dario's own friend. So he's like, obviously I can't put in Wes and Nani because Nani and Nicole are cousins, so I'm going to have to put it, like, sorry for being, you know, what do you call it? Associated. Guilty by association.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he's just pissing off everyone. He's pissing off his own friend, and he's pissing off people that were aligned with him, but are being thrown in because he can't put in the people he wants to put in. Wes and Nani.
Yeah.
It's just pissing. Oh my god. It's crazy.
This all just pisses me off because Dario just can't put his ego aside and understand the fact that Corey is aligned with some other people. Dario can't just be like, hey, I'm part of this alliance. We're like, because Dario, like, we saw him say multiple times over the last couple of episodes in those, like, little cutaway scenes where they're like, yeah, we need to get rid of Vince and Bananas.
Yeah.
Those are the two guys we need to get rid of. And Dario was saying, he's like, first chance I get. And they cut to that, like, or they showed that in the beginning of this episode, and they showed it last episode.
Yeah.
Like, Dario has said that.
And we mentioned last season, remember Dario and Rafi got in this huge thing, a huge fight with Vince and Bananas. And even when Dario fucked up Rafi's game in the elimination, remember the premature celebration?
Oh, yeah.
Bananas was talking all this shit. Like, how could you forget about that? If Dario is the person that I think he is, where he's like, he's not too bright, but he's more passionate, which usually translates to not too bright, he should remember that Bananas and Vince fucking talk so much shit. It just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
And the problem with this is just purely, it's what comes down to is math. It's just simple math. Because if you're Dario and you're going to choose Bananas and Vince, that's 3 teams. But there's still, it's lopsided. You're choosing 2 teams rather than being in alliance with Wes, Nate, Corey possibly. Like, you don't know exactly where Corey sits, but he's never been definitive one way or the other. Like, you do, he thinks that Corey's on Wes's side. So you have Corey, Wes, Nate, you. That's 4 on 2. You want to be on it's a numbers game. You want to be on that side. It's simple math. But no, Dario's like, no, I'll go to this side.
Yeah, and it's super weird because in the middle of all this, like after the nominations have already been said, that's when Nicole starts arguing with Dario, and I actually do not know what they're arguing about because I think she said like that wasn't even our first pick. Is that reference to Devin and Cheyenne or Corey and Ashley? I just don't understand what Nicole's doing right now. Even Dario was saying, like, why are we arguing about this right now?
Is it possible that Dario told Nicole that he was going to vote in a different team? Then switch?
But who? I can't even think of it. Like,
maybe he said he was going to throw in Vince and Jenna.
I don't know. We didn't see that conversation, but
we really don't know. But she did seem upset of the teams he picked, and then it kind of made me feel like, oh, Dario's kind of picking the choices here, and Nicole, she's not really getting her voice heard. I don't know. It was kind of awkward, and it's one of those things where on the show where it gets edited in a way where you don't really know both sides of the story.
Plus, I mean, Nicole kept on saying, like, especially during the dinner scenes earlier, when Dario's like, I'm gonna decide, and she's like, whoa, we're gonna decide. You know what I mean? So, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Where is this coming from? This arguing about the picks all of a sudden? Because clearly Nicole would stand up and like argue her point. So what the fuck ever. So afterwards, I mean, no, during that's when everyone's yelling. Like, Wes is like, you never would have won if it wasn't for me or something like that. And some people are saying like,
That's
Yeah.
true, because he put Bananas back a spot. So if it wasn't for that, Bananas would have started digging up the hole first, and Bananas would have won.
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it all did
Good
come
point.
down to, like, Wes was completely right. And Dar's like, oh, whatever, you win one and then you can talk. And Wes is like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, we're talking about what happened in the last mission. I chose Bananas to go back a step. That way you were able to win. And you were supposed to stick with your word and be a part of a team. We had an alliance going, and Dario sold out Wes, and he sold out...
He sold out everyone. Everyone that even had remotely had his back. He threw in Corey and Ashley, Devin and Cheyenne. It's just so criminal what he does. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's nuts. Like even Nate and Christina, who are in there as well. Like all three of those people weren't against him at all.
Can we rip on Are You the One? Because I feel like as the season's gone on, we've slowly forgotten about the divide between the real world and Are You the One.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, and like Dario is really showing the Are You the One chops here, where it's like,
He's really-
dude,
Yeah.
this is why I'm Team Real World. Alright.
Yeah, I guess so. So afterwards, Nani's screaming at Nicole, and Nani eventually cries to the confessional. But to me, my eyes again kind of like glaze over. I'm like, I've seen Nani scream and yell at her own friends before. This is nothing. You know what I mean? So I'm trying hard to
She
write
was-
this down as significant.
Really?
So.
I thought it was significant because Nani said last episode, hey, me and Wes, do all the politicking you want. Politics, we are going to get to the final through politics. Wes has been working that magic, and it was all going great until Wes got Dario to win, but then Nicole had to whisper in Dario's ear, change his whole mindset, and just put the ball in motion. So
That's true.
Nani was super pissed, like, hey, this was supposed to work out. Everything was in alignment. And she was pissed, and rightfully so. She was completely justified.
Yeah, we can't get too mad at Dario. I mean, we can, but we also have to be kind of peeved at Nicole. Because
Yeah.
she really got that ball rolling, like you said. Okay, so in the house later on, Christina is still mad that Nate never talks to her.
Yeah, this was just kind of one of those things that always happens, and it happened with Jess and what's his
Johnny
name,
Riley.
Johnny Riley, where it's like, oh, how are they gonna do in the elimination tonight if you guys don't get along? Maybe you should go apologize and be nice. And I was like, okay, we've seen this a million times.
Yeah, so Nicole has to go and talk to Nate and say, hey, get along. And that's when Nate was like, hey, man, like, have you watched this episode? Like, at the very beginning when Christina's like, oh, I miss Kellyanne. Who was the one person to talk to her and make her feel better? Me. That's who.
He
You know
did.
what I mean?
I thought he did a half-assed job, though. But
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
compared to
he's-
no-ass job. No one
Yeah.
else would have talked to her. You know what I mean?
that is true.
No one else is friends with Christina.
That's true. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's weird that her and Nicole aren't friends because they're both it's both their second season. Like, Nani and Sarah, they've been around a while. Maybe Ashley, I don't know. Maybe Ashley and Christina should be friends, but maybe they're too similar to be friends, or maybe
Similar. I feel like Ashley is an
Ashley Trashley.
extrovert and Christina is an introvert. Like, honestly, I don't see anything from Christina until this very episode.
Yeah. Well, to me, like her on the beginning of Bloodlines, she was, I don't know. Well, she was just hooking up with Tony and being a drunk, slutty chick, and there was that side of it. Like this season, Christina's completely different. She's very straight laced and just, I'm here to play the game. No frills.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
She's very, and she just has no friends because of it. Or, well, not because of that, but she's just being true to herself. She's here to play the game. And sometimes, you know what? You're down to how many people here. And if you're not friends with them, you're not friends with them. Like, you can't
That's
force it. You can't force a friendship. Like, if you're not similar to people, you can't force a friendship. And, obviously she only had Kellyanne, and Kellyanne's left. And yeah, it's weird. She was friends with Kellyanne. It's not like they're similar in age or have
I never
anything in
even
common.
saw them hanging out.
No one ever did. But apparently they were. And I mean, that's awesome for them that they had that time together and were able to connect.
And it sucks that you're able to just, someone goes home, but that happens every year on the challenge.
Yeah. Okay, so meanwhile at the house, actually in the pool, Corey and Dario are actually talking, and Corey's like, dude, like, I don't know if I could trust you or some shit. And Dario's like, I had no choice, man. I was in a corner. I had to make a move or whatever. Which, I mean, whatever. And then Wes is also, like, giving shit to Dario. He's like, dude, I'm not mad because I'm not going in, but I am upset. I'm disappointed that, like, this is how it went down because we all had a conversation. And Bananas happens to be hearing it, and he fucking says, like, yeah, listen to Wes. He's had this game on lockdown. Yeah, don't you fucking listen to this idiot. And I'm like, dude, Bananas has annoyed the shit out of me this season. Not because I'm a fan of Wes, but because he sticks his nose into all this business that has nothing to do with him, and he rips on Wes. You know what I mean? He's calling him an idiot. He's calling him an ugly ginger and shit. Like, whenever he
out
can.
Of nowhere. And he said it, and Wes will have no retort. Like, not even a response.
No, because he's not that guy.
He's not juvenile like Bananas is.
Jesus Christ. And, like, this is MTV's flagship. This is what the MTV Challenge wants to say. Like, this is the face of our show. Like, this is Bananas. And I'm like, honestly, if I'm tuning in, I'm like, this guy's fucking asshole.
Yeah, he's
juvenile.
a douchebag.
Yeah.
Completely. So, and the Bananas, what he really reminds me of is if you watch wrestling, you watch WWE, you have Chris Jericho. He comes out there, and he's a veteran. He's been there for years. And he comes out, and he calls everyone, oh, you stupid idiot. And he calls everyone a stupid idiot, which is a stupid insult because it's redundant. Stupid and idiot basically mean the same thing. And that's what Bananas does every episode. He calls Wes a stupid idiot. And it's just like, we've heard this before. He says the same stuff over and over, just like Jericho does. That's Bananas. That's Bananas in the challenge.
Well, you lose some fans when you mention WWE, but I do understand it. And it's just, we'll get into Bananas later about just how he's just kind of there. You know, like, he's not just kind of there. He's a significant part of the challenge. But he does put his fucking face and nose into every situation and says, like, this is what I have to say. And he's given all these sound bites, and I'm sure all the fans or any casual fan will be like, oh, he said that Wes is an idiot. That must be true, because, like, why would the producers put that in? Because if Wes wasn't an idiot, why would they put that? No, they just put everything that Bananas says as face value, and, like, some fucking, helpless fan is just gonna listen to everything Bananas has to say. So they'll be like, Wes is an idiot because this guy said so.
It has to be true because, you know what? Dario sided with Bananas. That's what people are going to think. And it's just because Bananas, he's a vet on the show. He's won countless times. And this is how Bananas keeps winning, is because he gets these new, younger teams to just follow him blindly like a sheep.
I was going to say, Wes technically does...
Sheep.
Wes technically wins over the rival, the rookies, right?
Mm-hmm.
He always gathers the rookies.
He does. Well, but yeah, in this case, though, Dario strays. And he's the stupid rookie. He's just like, oh,
he's the black sheep of rookie sheep, right? He just happened to like, I like Bananas more. So anyways, Nate and Christina, they do make up. It's so boring. I think Nate is just like, hey man, no matter what happens, it's not going to affect our relationship outside of the house, and that's the most important thing. And Christina's like, yeah, good point, or whatever. I don't know. They're exes. Like, it's a weird dynamic.
It was a nice little scripted scene that seemed very scripted to me. I was like, okay. And they both said the right thing. And they're like, yay, we're on the same team together. Yay, we're going to, okay, apology accepted. Pat on the back, good job.
Alright, so let's finally get to elimination, which actually never happens.
No.
So why even bring it up? Because it's just going to be, draw a skull. Devin doesn't draw it. Or, no, wait. Cheyenne doesn't draw it. No, wait. Ashley doesn't draw it. And then Cheyenne doesn't draw it. And now it's up to Corey. He reaches his hand in there. And then, boom, cut to black. Not to be continued, mind you. But it is a to be continued. And this was the part in the episode where it broke me a third or fourth time this season. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh, I was like, why? There was no excess. Like, a team didn't leave. You didn't have to extend this episode by any means at all. The mission wasn't overly long, you know. And I'm just like, this was a chance to have our second complete episode this season. We've only had one episode this entire season with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Not this episode. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why cut at this particular moment? And this is what brings me to this particular point. We have a new executive producer. Have I mentioned that? It's a woman. And I say that
What's
and
her
I
name?
laugh. I don't know, Kelly Felcher or something like that.
Fletcher?
Lisa Fletcher.
Fletcher.
Whatever.
Felcher.
Felcher.
I knew you were going to call her Felcher.
But like, okay, so she started this season as the new executive producer. We actually used to have, I think his name was Jonathan or Justin Booth, whatever, and he's been an executive producer since season 15, I hear.
Yes.
That's a long fucking time. And now it's to someone else. And, you know, it sounds sexist, maybe it is, but it's a chick who, and look at the stats, look at the season. It's been drama over challenges. You know what I mean? It's been drama over
The structure
physical.
of the show between like a mission and an elimination has been thrown out the window this season.
Yep.
Our episodes are completely just come to an end at whatever point they want. They don't even humor us. Just throw us a bone. Throw me a to be continued on the screen. Nope. Just roll credits. We can never see a definitive end to an episode.
No.
Ever. And you know what? Vince, as much as you're crapping on the producer or whatever her name is, Fletcher, you've crapped on the producers all the time through other seasons.
All my
but
life.
this season is especially bad. So, like, you've been crying wolf a long time, but this time I truly believe it, and I agree. Because they've really done a poor job this year. And when you watch the episodes, the whole point is to get you to want to watch the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just have a cliffhanger ending to get you to want to watch the next episode. You have to feel satisfied with your viewing experience to watch the next episode. And when they constantly leave you short that thing you wanted to see, you're always feeling unfulfilled. And you feel like, hey, if you're not going to fulfill me with what I want to see, I'm not going to watch. Whatever. Maybe I'm not going to watch it. I'll just wait until it's all over and then I'll just binge watch it. You know, I'll just download it off the internet. Not even going to give you any ratings. And that's what I feel like happens. Like, you need to give people a reason to tune in, stay fully committed to that show. And they always just cut short and they're like, no, we're not showing the elimination.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been completely satisfied with any particular episode. You know, like, and I feel like I'm constantly waiting for the season to pick up. And last episode felt like it was picking up because now finally people were realizing like, hey, we should probably vote in Bananas or Vince or put them both in together. And I felt like that was huge momentum that the season was lacking the entire time. Just like the previous season, Battle of Bloodlines, where we're all just sitting there just like, vote in Bananas already. He's burning every single bridge. He's throwing in people he doesn't care about. Camilla, Nani, you know what I mean?
Yep.
He does
people
not...
he was friends with. He's just throwing them all under the bus.
And
nothing ever gets
ex-partners.
acknowledged by anyone.
Ex-partners, not just friends,
Yeah.
ex-partners. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, and when that season was going on, I'm like, okay, clearly next season Bananas is screwed because he's made so many fucking villains and enemies and shit. But no, it just, I don't know. I honestly do not. I've never really gotten on board with this season. So
There's been like 3 episodes in a row in the middle of the season where I really got behind it, and then we had the episode where Tony and Camilla got sent home, and that threw everything off the tracks.
yeah,
And ever since that episode, I've kind of been a little on it.
yeah.
One thing I do want to mention, I swear it happened in this episode, but correct me if I'm wrong.
someone drew out a skull and they slammed it down and the skull broke.
Yeah.
And you shat on this idea of these stupid little toy skulls. You started out with episode 1 like, what is this? It's a stupid little toy, and you pull up this. It's not even a skull. It's a little toy, and they broke one, and it was like, exactly, your point was vilified with that smashing of that stupid little toy skull. I think Cheyenne broke it, didn't she? Ashley did.
Yeah. But still, like,
I was laughing and I thought of you when I was watching it. I was like, yep, Vince would be proud because it's a little toy piece of crap because they can't have nice things in the challenge.
Yeah, so I don't know. This episode ended and I didn't feel any which way. Like, I was like, should I be mad for this podcast? Should I be sad? Should I just give up? I really have no idea how to feel about this season at all. But, you know, I'm sure there's some fans who are like, I happen to love, you know, drama over challenges. I do like the fact that this is more Bad Girls Club than the challenge. You know what I mean? And that's just not me, you know? I was kind of worried, like, maybe I'm too old for this fucking challenge. But no, it's all different. And there's a new executive producer. She clearly... Okay, this is the one thing that maybe we're wrong about her.
In the very, very highly unlikely event that we're wrong about.
Because we lost 4 teams from DQs or quitting, right?
Injury? Leroy?
Yeah, injuries and quitting, right? Yep. So that kind of makes sense why you would have to, like, you know, shuffle the episodes around and like, oh, what are we going to do or whatever. Let's emphasize the drama. But, like, we don't know. I don't want to just say just because we have a new woman executive producer. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. You know?
But it does seem to me that the way they're laying out this season, like the formula for it, is they recorded everything, like, because this is all pre-recorded, and then they're just like, hey, we need this many episodes. So, okay, let's take all this stuff we recorded and splice it into this many episodes. And then they're just like, okay, we're going to put a cut here, we're going to put cut here, and we're just going to edit these episodes in a completely non-linear format that doesn't flow at all. But, like, that's your job as a producer and editor, to make it flow. And, like, when you watch Game of Thrones, you're always, it leaves you wanting more, but it did give you enough where you felt satisfied and you got enough answers.
Right.
You know, it gave you both.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just not the same. And another thing, you mentioned this before, probably not in the podcast, that like Battle of the Exes 2 and Battle of the Bloodlines, 2 seasons before this particular season where the woman executive producer took over, they were loaded with to be continued. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's just where the show is going towards, and maybe the old producer, Justin Booth or whatever, he's like, this isn't right, and we didn't do it in my day, like we had a complete season, so I'm out of here, this is stupid. So who knows, maybe.
And this is not like season 5 or season 6, this is the challenge. This is season 28 or something. Something like that. Oh, that was off the top of my head. I can't believe I nailed it. Something like that. It's like they've had a formula going for seasons and seasons and seasons. And then over the last couple, it's just been completely bombarded and just thrown in the air like, whatever, we're not really caring about the missions and eliminations, we're just going to put these edits in. And so now, like, we have Nate and Christina. They're going to go against either Devin and Cheyenne or Corey and Ashley. And what's the elimination? We don't know.
Yeah. Who
are they facing? We don't know. But
do we think that Nate and Christina have a possible chance at all in the jungle? We do know. No.
Yeah. I feel like no matter what, they're probably going to go home.
To be continued. That's so stupid. Like, there's so many reasons why this episode, I'm just like, oh, God, I have to keep watching this just because I have to podcast about it. That's about it. Yeah.
That's the only reason. Gotta clock in, bring your lunch pail. I can do that dirty, grimy work.
Yeah,
all right.
I clock in, and then before I get to clock out, I say, subscribe, like, comment, share. And this is Battle of the Challenge podcast with Vincent Cloud
and David Lauer.